Hey guys, it's Morgan coming back to you with another video about the 2023 300XC. I know some of you who are used to my other content and are tired of me talking about this bike are like, come on dude, I get it, I hear you. But there's a ton of people out there who want to know about this motorcycle before they go spend $12,000 on one. So that's what I'm here to do. Today we are going to install the True North Moto's wiring harness onto this thing to then run a light, and we're going to plug a light in on it, the one that I'm going to use on the bike. It's an S1 light from Baja Designs in a moto-minded chassis, and we're going to plug it in, we're going to fire the thing up, and we're going to see if this thing has enough juice to run that light and charge the battery, because if it doesn't, if it loses charge on the battery, when the battery dies, the bike stops. Well, it doesn't stop because it does have the capacitor, but lots of things go south. No e-start. If you could kill it enough, it might not run very good because, like I said, it's running on a capacitor when the battery's dead. And then obviously if you stop the bike, you can't restart it because it doesn't have a kickstart. So we really want to know if this thing will run a light or not. So let's find out. All right, guys, got the seat and tank off. I think that's all we're going to have to take off, other than obviously the headlight mask, which we'll get that here real fast. But let me show you the part. It's really, really slick. All right, guys, here it is. It is really, really a nice setup. So let me take you over to the bench. We'll take a look at it closely. All right, guys, so it comes just like this from Dan North. Again, thank you, Dan. Thank you, True North Motos up in Washington. I'll put a link to their shop in the description of this video. So here it is. It's super clean. And the way it works, there was some concern. I was talking to Chris Vestal at Moto Minded because I'm going to get a light. I'm going to use the light I already have for now for this test, but I'm going to get a new light for this bike so I can have a light on both. But we were worried because he uses the OBD port. I told him that he used that for power, but I thought it was because he's going to pull power from the OBD port, but that's not the case. He uses the OBD port to tell the relay when to turn on, and then that connects to the battery with this, that then supplies power out and to everything you need. So it's pretty slick, guys. I'm really excited about it. He uses the stock KTM plug, so this will plug directly into a normal KTM headlight, or Moto Minded uses that a lot too. I am actually going to have to change this because I've changed my plugins on my light to some waterproof, nicer waterproof connectors. So I'm going to have to put a different connector on here. But this thing is super rad. He's got the on-off switch here. And the whole thing is really cool because when the bike turns off, after just a little bit, it'll click and turn the light off. So you can't kill the battery by accident, by, stop the bike, walk away, leave the light on. It's going to kill the battery. That's a real problem with a bike that doesn't have a Kickstarter. I really like what he does. He's got really nice little fuse block here, and all the wiring, all the heat shrink, everything is really, really nice. Dan, great job with this harness. Seriously nice job. So let's go put this in. All right, guys. So OBD port right here. Gonna unplug that, plug this in. We're gonna just tuck it back down into its little home here, and I'm gonna aim it. I'm gonna aim the yellow wire forward so it doesn't hit things, doesn't get bound up in here. Now the relay, not sure where he wants us to put that, unless he wants us to go, I can't go up there, it's got to come down here. So for now, I'm just going to tuck this relay down in here. And once I get all this done, I'm going to take a closer look. But now we have the battery terminals right here. So positive to positive, negative to negative. Make sure you get your battery terminals tight. I have seen so many very tiny little problems that kill bikes and do all kinds of whatever from having battery terminals not tight. So getting that tight. Now we're going to kind of route things and see what we can do to make sure we don't put any extra stress on any wires. And I'll show you guys all this from above once we get there. I was wrong. I just went checked out Dan's site real fast. This is actually the taillight connector. This is more for like auxiliary stuff, which actually I'm probably going to use for my fan once I get that whole system sorted out. I haven't decided what fan I'm going with and all that. And I think that this bike will run the light and the fan. I don't think it'll run them both. Well, it will run them both at the same time for a little while, but I think that will drain the battery. I don't think there's enough wattage coming out of the stator to run both at the same time, but I think the chances of both the fan running and the light running are probably pretty slim. Also, when we figure out a stator upgrade or a different stator, you know, either rewiring this one or finding a different stator that makes more power, we're going to go that way anyway. So anyway, this one we will eventually just tuck up and keep it out of the way. So now we're going to come up here, going to run it along the stock wiring loom, because that's a nice place to put things. And then also we can zip tie it to it. KTM even has a place right here to clip that wire. It's pretty sweet. And then Dan has done a very good job of making this the exact right length. We're just going to tuck it in here. Let's take this number plate off. All right, guys, so here's the headlight we're going to use. Like I said, it's Baja Designs S1, but in the Moto-minded chassis. And it's got the little regulator rectifier box, capacitor box anyway. Everything's ready to go. But like I said, I like these waterproof connectors, so I'm going to have to put one of those onto this. And actually, Dan will do that if you guys are wanting to order one from him. This harness is $155. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but when you see this thing in person holding your hands, you'll realize there's a lot of work went into it. It's got OEM KTM relay. It's just a very well-built thing, and that takes time, it takes money, and research and development, and people who put that much effort in should get to make some money. So anyway, he'll actually put whatever connector you want on it, but for me, I didn't know exactly what mine was called or looked like. I just knew I had put one on there, and I had more of them here at the shop, so I just told him send it to me with the normal one, and we'll cut that off and put one on. So I'm going to go do that right now, and then we'll check back in here in just a second. All right, guys. Sorry for the changing cameras, but I managed to drop my fancy camera off the bench, and I've done that lots of times, and it's always been fine, but this time it's not. So anyway, we're going to be dealing with some GoPro footage here for a while until I can afford to buy or fix. I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, that was getting a little bit old. Probably time for a new one anyway, but not right now because they're terribly expensive. So that's all right. You guys don't seem to care too much about like production value anyway. It's more about the nuts and bolts and how things get done. So I did get my waterproof connector. As you can see, it's on there, ready to go. Like I said, these are auxiliary connectors, and this is the power, so you can turn it on, turn it off. It doesn't have to come on all the time while the bike's running. I mean, you can obviously just do that if you want. We've got the headlight all ready to go. Now what we do is we take this, come through here, get our cover, we're just gonna screw that on, set this down where it goes. And this might be interesting actually with this brake hose, because it's an XC. It may not work quite like that, so let's actually go like that. So on my other bike I use the super mount for, I think it's called the super mount tough mount. Anyway, it's from Moto-minded. It's really sweet. It allows you to just bolt this on and makes it way stronger. but I don't want to get a super mount for this bike. I want to try to keep this. I know I put a ton of crap already on this motorcycle, but I want to try to keep it at least a little bit simpler. And I don't mind the rubber straps. They're super strong. Really don't have any problem with that. All right, got that on there nice and sturdy. I think that's going to work, having this behind here. Now I think everything's plugged in and happy up there, and everything's moving. Let's just make sure we're gonna, I think we're gonna be good. I think everything's gonna be good. We're gonna have to get it off the stand and turn the bars and see, but now the goal is to clean all this up and make this look nice. We're gonna get some zip ties for this part of the harness and tie it to the main wiring loom. Again, pretty cool. It's already got that ready for it. The biggest question is back here, what we're going to do here to kind of make sure this is all clear of the seat coming down, and also just nice looking Sano, as the old guys say. So I'm gonna set you guys down here and kind of work on what this is going to look like. Okay, I like it. There we go, guys. So I'm gonna definitely gonna move. I think I'm gonna unplug this here real fast, actually. All right, tuck that down there. That wire's nice and free and clear of anything. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is this wire right now. So trying to figure out. All right, guys, so what I did was I popped that regular rectifier up, ran the wire underneath. Now it's safe, not touching any of these fins. I think we are good to go. So now I'm going to clip all these zip ties, put the tank back on this thing, and fire it up and see if it works. And we'll check the battery charging, make sure it's charging while the light's running. Let's see. Unplug. So there we go. Nice. Let's check our charging. Light burning at idle 13.23. That is plenty. Very, very happy with that. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up and fix my little plug connection. I must have pulled on it too hard. And then we'll check in and talk about this whole thing. All right, guys, got the bike all buttoned back up. One thing, when you're fiddling with headlights or anything like that, you want to make sure you look down in there as you turn the bars. Make sure nothing is going to hit or pinch or move or whatever. It could be, you know, on some things it could kill the bike if you got a kill switch wire or something messed up in there. On this, you know, you wire, you know, headlight go out. Not a huge deal unless you're going really fast at night. So let's turn this thing on. So, nice bright S1 headlight again. Got that whole setup from Moto Minded. Now let's check it out. Turn the bike off. Boom. There we go. That is the timed relay for the fuel injection and all that stuff. It's all run, like I said, run off the battery. And there's a timed relay in there, and that is awesome. Thank you, Dan North at True North Motos. Make sure you go check him out, truenorthmotos.com. That harness is seriously amazing. It looks just like OEM. It fits perfectly. Everything works perfectly. Now I have my auxiliary power. That is also, by the way, that is also switched hot with that. So if I run the fan to that, or run the fan off of that, I could also turn it off, which would be cool, you know, if I want to make sure the thing is off and I'm not killing the battery. So that turned out really cool. So yes, guys, if you have a 23 300XC, you can get lights on it. I know you can do a fan too. Fan is going to draw more than the light, so it's probably going to make a bigger difference on the charging, but I've talked to quite a few people who put it on there, and yes, it will run the fan and still charge the battery. Like I said, I don't think it'll run the fan, charge the battery, and run the light, but how often are you really going to be running all that at the same time? So thanks a lot, guys. I hope that was a good one. I hope that's informative. Make sure you get a hold of Dan at True North Motos if you need a harness. Go pop some wheelies.